Hi everybody, welcome to another Adcore podcast hosted by Julian. That's me. Basically, I get to take a break from doing boring marketing stuff and talk to interesting people, like this guy. So please join me in welcoming Zecharia, the Senior Sales Manager of RTB House, a company that provides advertising tech solutions. So, hi Raz.
Hey
welcome.
Julian.
Nice to have you here.
Thank you, it's good to be here.
Great.
And thank you for the invitation.
Of course, always.
And how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great given the circumstances.
I hear you.
And RTB is doing great. You
Right.
want maybe to talk about a little bit myself, to introduce myself?
Yes, please. Yeah.
Okay. I'm in and around AdTech for around 10 years. I started as a PPC campaigner, a managed team, established and led a digital department for an agency. I worked with huge international brands like Lenovo, H&M, Match Group, and later I did some time in Outbrain. And as you said earlier, today I'm in charge of the business development and sales for RTB House in Israel. And I can say that I'm still in the process of learning since I started working in this industry.
That's great.
Yeah.
I think we should all be in the process of learning all the time.
I agree with that.
Yeah. So Raz, please tell me more about RTB House and what services you guys offer.
So RTB House is a global technology company with an advertising platform, a DSP, as they call it. We have around 1,400 employees, 30 offices around the world. We operate in more than 85 markets. We offer marketers, brand and agencies advertising solutions for the open web and products that fit perfectly to their pain point and needs. We focus on performance campaigns, and our edge as a platform is our proprietary deep learning algorithm. And last thing that's important to say is that we are a full service platform, so we take care of everything for our partners.
Mm-hmm. Awesome, amazing. So Raz, you mentioned that you have your DSP. Can you explain to our listeners what a DSP is, please?
So a DSP, a demand-side platform. It's a platform that enables advertisers to buy and manage digital ads across multiple networks. Like it's a one-stop shop to buy your ads and in a very effective way, and it all happens programmatically, meaning the machines are talking between them and all the bidding is happening through machines.
Great. Okay. And RTB House uses deep learning in various ways. Can you explain the benefits of this?
So first of all, when we say deep learning, this deep learning, it's the latest stage of AI algorithm. The previous one is machine learning, which the rest of the platforms are using. And the word deep refers to the fact that the algorithm goes deep into a raw and unstructured data, like I would say images, text, events on website or apps, and get insight from it without any human interfering or help. So we don't need us, and it can process huge amount of data. So all of this leads to the benefits of diverse in KPIs that we can offer to our partners, like anything that will tailor-made to their needs and activities. It also gives us the option to not use or collect any user's personal data, like emails or credit card or names, and we don't need to do any cross-site data sharing. So we don't use data from one website on a campaign of another website. And this is, in general, give our partner much better privacy coverage. And last thing is that given the sophistication of the algorithm, we can give our partners more insights on their activities, insight like new trends, new audiences that are relevant to them, and new placements on the open web that are relevant for their advertising efforts.
Okay.
And you know what, if I need to put it like under one thing, it's basically that the benefit of our algorithm is that we bring incremental results to our partners, and we can work parallel to the current activities that they have. So they don't need to change anything, so it's not like a zero-sum game between platforms. And that's to wrap it up.
Great, awesome. So we're already talking about AI, of course, and to take a step back, what potential do you see AI offering to marketers in the coming years in general?
So I think it's like they teach in the academy that technological improvement lead to economic growth. I think AI will do the same to marketers and the industry in general. Marketers will be more efficient and need to spend less resources on advertising efforts and operating efforts in general. And when I'm saying these, some examples I think are they're going to need to use less designers. They're going to need to spend less resources on creative efforts in general. And also, for example, on working with data, they're going to need to use less efforts. They say that 80% of working with data is structuring the data, and 20% is actually getting the insights from it. So when you reduce significantly this 80%, you're already freeing a lot of resources. And again, all of this will lead marketers to be more result-oriented, and they will basically get more with less.
Nice.
Yeah.
And I really like that quote about the 80 and 20%. So what does RTB House to stand out when structuring the data? How is RTB House different than others when structuring the data in order to open it up for insights?
It's not that we are different, it's just that we currently are the only one that use deep learning algorithm in advertising, so this give us the benefits of understand and give insight to marketers, and they don't need to do anything for us to be able to do it. So again, working on the same structure as other platform, working on the same asset as other platform are doing, and we just give them more thanks to the sophistication of the algorithm.
Nice. And can you explain how RTB House helps brands track their customers' online journey as well as your targeting abilities?
So currently, like the rest of the industry, we use cookies. Cookies, it's a piece of code that is embedded on the user browser and collect all the data on it. And it's like a beacon that's signaling back to us on anywhere that the user is on the open web. So it's very easy to track. And for targeting, we do real-time bidding on almost all available banner platform on the open web, platforms like Google AdTech, Outbrain, Taboola. That's like the programmatic ecosystem that we are talking about. And we cover around more, I will say, than 95% of banners around the open web. So we can get anywhere. And our unique abilities is in targeting are coming from our algorithm. And the way he decided on where, which, and when to buy an ad, given the information he gathered on the users in the marketer assets that will lead to the best outcome.
Got it. So you mentioned cookies, Many believe that we're heading towards a cookie-less future. How is RTB House, and how can marketers in general prepare for a cookieless future better?
Nobody, by the way, really knows when and if cookieless world will come, because it keeps being delayed. I believe it will come. By the way, RTB House is a meaningful partner in a Google Sandbox. So we are working on several solutions for the day after cookies. So those are the strategies that marketers can use and leverage. Some of them are, for example, group targeting instead of individual targeting. So the groups will be based on shared characteristics and interests. Another solution is contextual targeting. So basically, our crawler read all the web pages that are available, understand their content and their context, and given that we can present relevant ads on those pages, and of course it should be translated that the users who read those pages will be exposed to relevant ads. And another tool, it's Topics API. This is basically let us understand the type of website that the user has visited. So marketers, by focusing on privacy compliant, first party data, leveraging AI power, of course, and using more innovative and ethical targeting methods will be able to continue and provide a personalized and relevant experience for their users in the day after cookies.
So, going back to AI, as AI continues to mature and grow, what impact is it having on PPC strategies? And what should marketers keep an eye out for to stay on top of PPC?
This is my opinion. I think PPC strategies will be more dynamic and data-driven from a marketer's and campaigner's point of view. It's not going to be like, I call it like launch and forget. You know, you launch a campaign and then after 2 weeks, 1 month, 2 months, you check the results and then optimize giving them. Marketers will have better control of the data and will have an option to ask for more frequent changes given results on the ground. I think there will also be a greater variety in goals and they're going to be more granular given the marketer activities. And I also think this is a big thing. It's also referring to the data structure that we talked earlier, that segmentation will be based only on AI insight. So it will be based on the algorithm, what the algorithm is recognizing and understand during interaction with the users in the marketer assets. And another thing that I think will happen is that the marketers will be the owners of the data and not the campaigners, so they will need to find tools to move this data from one platform to the other. And we already have some of these tools, by the way. And to stay competitive and to stay ahead of the curve, marketers should focus on AI-powered tools that help them optimize audiences, inventory, creative, and content in real time, basically. And in general, staying competitive means just experimenting with automation and keep trying.
I like that. Keep trying.
Yeah.
So, what role does AI play in audience targeting and personalization?
So in RTB House, it's everything. For targeting, the power of our algorithm and its processing capabilities basically lets us explore the solutions for the day after cookies. Also, our algorithm lets us find new customer audiences for our partner assets on the open web. We don't really know how he's doing it. You know, I can't research a deep learning algorithm, but he's doing it in a very, very effective way, and we see it in the data. And for personalization, we use our tags to collect and track user activities on the marketer assets. And then our algorithm processes this data and choose by its own what to present to those users that will bring the result that the marketers are looking for.
Got it. So you mentioned that the deep learning algorithms aren't so easy to understand. Is anyone aware of what's going on? Does anyone understand how they operate?
I don't think so, actually. I saw some articles about it. You know, we are not the only one who use deep learning algorithm. You know it from OpenAI, you know it from Tesla, you know it from a lot of other companies. And they do say that nobody really know how to research this algorithm because, again, it doesn't need any human help to do what it does, and it works on unstructured data, and it has a lot of it. So you can't really research what it's doing. But again, I'm not an engineer. So maybe an engineer will tell you otherwise, but again, from what I know, that's a story for everyone.
Right, I hear you. You mentioned now that results are getting better with AI. How much better have results gotten with AI?
I can say like around 30%.
30%?
Yes.
Wow.
Definitely.
Yeah. And do you think that number is going to go up in the future?
I don't know, but if it's not going to go up, it will still make things more efficient. So we need to use less resources to get to this 30%. And no, if you don't increase the effectiveness of the performance, you can increase the effectiveness of the labor cost, for example. And that's, bringing it from the other angle.
Yeah. So there's so many areas and angles where AI can optimize lower costs, improve performance.
Exactly.
Amazing.
And it's just the beginning.
Wow. So, what do you think will be the most significant trends in programmatic advertising over the next 3 to 5 years, and how should marketers prepare?
That's a big question. I will say it's only going to be my opinion again. And I will speak in general. So I think, first of all, programmatic will take more from direct buying. And it will be like a one-stop shop, like one platform to buy all the advertising that you need. Like RTB, for example, is a one-stop shop for the open web. I also believe that programmatic will cover all available inventory, for example, including billboards and radio. And I believe that user funnels will be more diverse in a way that top and bottom can be in one campaign, given the specific marketer goals. So instead of having like an awareness campaign and a performance campaign, we can have a specific product purchasing campaign that can involve new customers and existing customers. And all of this will lead to more accuracy in advertising, and it will translate to bigger scale and more personal and diverse ads in the programmatic industry.
Okay, amazing.
Yeah.
And what common challenges do marketers face with programmatic ad buying, and how can these challenges be addressed?
So in general, there's a lack of understanding. There's a lot of buzzwords like a DSP, and that's why I'm here. Just ask me. And of course, keep learning and adapt because the technology as we see it is not going to stop. Another challenge that I think, and it's a big challenge, are fraud. Those days, anyone can start a company, and thanks to AI, he can generate a lot of relevant content to this company and make it look legitimate. And this is a big problem, and again, I only think it will get worse. And to tackle this, marketers should work with known brands. They should do the research. They should understand everything that they are doing and don't let the other side tell you like this is too complicated for you to understand, because there's no such thing. Yeah. And of course, they should track everything within the collaboration. And if they can do it by themselves, have an external company to do it for you. That's perfectly okay. Mm-hmm. And last challenge is agility. I think marketers today are not agile enough. They need to move based on actual results and not like on a pre-planned Gantt, like a plan. Yeah. For example, when our account managers see an option to increase budget and keep the same results that the marketer asks for, they approach the marketers and tell them the situation. And most of the time when they do it, they get an answer like, I understand, I really want to increase, but I work with a pre-planned budget. So I will be able to increase budget next month or next quarter. And in programmatic advertising, next month, it's a whole different story. Right. So you need like to seize the moment. And currently, marketers aren't able to do that. Mm-hmm.
Why do you think they're not able to do that currently? And how can they be better at seizing the moment going forward?
I think they're not used to just being agile. You know, in past days, you used to buy your advertising directly from a publisher or from a platform, a single platform, and you used to buying a package and for a month and a half, and you know that you need to wait for the time period to end and then again optimize, as we said earlier. Yeah. So they're not used to working on actual results and be agile enough. And this is actually changing, by the way, but it will take time to change.
Right.
So it's just things that they're used to from the past.
I hear you. And beforehand, you mentioned fraud and how easy it is to present, a legitimate looking company. What do you think, brands can do to vet, to judge, who they partner with, to make sure they're going into contact with a legitimate business?
Really, research in general, if it's a known brand, you have a lot of information about it on the open web. You can see who this brand, who this platform is working with. You can approach other clients of this platform and ask them how things are going. It's perfectly okay. And as I said earlier, you can also go to an external company and ask them to provide due diligence on this specific platform. But again, it's all coming down to research.
Right.
Just don't be lazy. Don't think that something is as they tell you it is, and you need to check everything.
Yeah. So I wanted to ask you in general, how important is it for marketers to develop cross-channel marketing strategies?
So this is super important, the way I see it, because you want to make sure you cover all of your audiences and not just a section of them. For example, let's say you're a marketer and you understand that your potential clients are people that follow daily news. Let's pretend. Some people follow daily news through the newspaper. Yeah, people are still doing that. And some people follow daily news through in the publisher websites. And given your research, you understand that both are relevant to you, so you need to advertise in the newspaper and in the website of the publisher to grab all of them attention. And I also think cross-channel advertising is effective to get marketer goals in the most effective way. I will give an example. So when you advertise on TV, it's more for positioning. So for example, if you see it on TV, it means the brand is good and it's a reliable brand. But it's not going to make someone who watched the ad on TV convert or buy the product most of the time. And for this to convert the audiences, you have the web. So later on, you present those users that saw the ad on TV the relevant products from them of the specific brand, and this will make them convert, and it make it like a holistic approach, and a very effective one, like RTB is doing.
Great. And I wanted to ask you, what metrics or KPIs do you find most effective for measuring the success of cross-channel campaigns? And on that note, you mentioned TV. How, when you create an online ad, it's very easy to track the clicks, the people seeing it. When it's a TV ad, it's a bit more abstract and a bit harder to track.
Definitely.
Can you talk about that a bit?
I don't know if there is an available option to track TV. It's not connected TV. That's a different thing. That's in our programmatic ecosystem, and that can definitely is trackable. Sorry. So again, for TV advertising, you just need to trust the company, the platform that sell you the TV ad, and they will tell you how much people view your ad. But for you talked about cross-channeling measurement. So this is very tricky, and I do believe, by the way, that each brand needs to have its own KPI. There's not like a general KPI that everybody should use, and this KPI should be based on its unique characteristic and goals. And you don't want to measure everything, because this will just lead to a confusion. You can see the forest for the trees, they say.
Yeah.
So I do think each channel need to have its own KPI, but you also need to understand the KPI that will help you measure the effect of one channel on the other. TV on the web, for example, and there are some KPIs that can help you measure this kind of effect. Some of them are general KPIs such as ROI, ROAS, users lifetime value. You also have a cross-channel analytic tools, A/B testing, for example. It's also a good method. And by the way, you can use survey and feedbacks. We also do it in RTB, and I do think, by the way, that survey and feedback can lead to another good outcome of things that you didn't know that users or customers, clients think about your brand, because when you're approaching your customers and ask them open-ended question, it can lead to a lot of other good things.
Right.
Besides just knowing where they saw your ad and why did they purchase your product.
Right. Awesome. And we're talking about the customers here. What are the challenges in delivering personalized experiences to customers at scale, and how can technology help overcome these issues?
So for the first challenge of identifying, I will divide it to two groups, new users and existing users. For existing users, we have cookies that we mentioned before that help us identifying the users, keep the data of those users and their preferences. For new users that marketers don't know, I don't think there is a solution for it at the moment besides using lists of contacts. That you move a list from a platform to a platform, this can cause some privacy concern. So I don't like this solution. We don't use it, by the way, in RTB. And to overcome this, we use our algorithm to approach new users, again, on the open web, and it works great. We see the data, our marketers see the data, but again, we don't know how he's doing it, okay? And I'm sorry about it. And for the second challenge of delivering the ads, again, some AI application lets you do it in an easier way today, and you can generate different banners, different text, and in general, messaging at scale. And platform like RTB House ensure that the right messaging get to the right users at scale.
Mm-hmm. So that's, for example, by using cross-channel platforms, TV ads, programmatic, maybe, smart billboards and so on. So what can you give, without citing a particular brand, can you give an example of how RTB used this cross-channel marketing to help a brand grow and reach its goals?
So it's exactly as you said it. Again, when you can reach, it all depends, first of all, on the marketer goals. And if you want, most, as I said earlier, we are focusing on a performance campaign, meaning our marketers want to see, I would say, income from our activities. And again, given my background, I know that billboards, TV, radio is not going to lead to people that are converting or buying products. Most of it happen on the web today, and it's not like a cross channel because you advertise only online, but we can also advertise on CTV. So we make sure we grab user attention on the TV, present them with something that is relevant to them, but more general about the brand and not like a specific product, getting their attention, showing them like 4 or 3 ads on TV of this specific brand, make sure they are familiar with the brand and they actually saw the ads. And once we understand that they are ready to convert, as we say, then we start our algorithm start presenting them with relevant products of this specific brand to make them convert. And again, we are tracking everything so we can go back to present a TV ad if it didn't work, or we can actually go and present a different product on a different location on the web. Mm-hmm. But it's very, very complicated, and again, most of our campaigns happen today in the web.
Mm-hmm. I hear you. So you've mentioned CTV a few times now. This is a recent technology that is still growing and becoming more mainstream, more common in households. You've already, outlined some of the benefits, but can you tell me more of why this technology is so important, why it's so helpful, and more than anything, as more households get connected TVs, as it becomes perhaps a standard among all TVs in the future, what potential is there for marketers?
I would say it in a very easy way. You can track it. CTV you can track.
Yeah.
And that's the best thing about it, not like TV that we mentioned earlier. Yeah. And the second thing about it that make it very, very, I would say, innovative, is that you can also make users interact with it. So because it's connected TV, you can make it stop. You can put like a button on top of it, and if they click it, they move to a different location, for example, a different website or something. And again, it's not like a flat TV. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it's trackable, and you can make users interact with it.
Okay.
That's the big thing, again, when you put it in front of TV.
I hear you. And I wanted to ask you, what are the biggest challenges in adapting marketing strategies to different local markets? And how can brands ensure they resonate with diverse audiences?
So the biggest challenge, the way I see it, is localization and the fact that each market is different from the other market. And it's different in client preferences, in client needs, in clients' shopping habits, even in client different color preferences. And in general, markets are different in laws also. So in one market, you are allowed to send your customers a direct SMS. In other marketers, if you send this SMS, you will get fined for it. So you need to know the market, and once you tackle this, you can start drilling down to diversity in audiences within the specific market, and this will be easier because then you understand like the big picture. And to tackle this, I think brand must keep a comprehensive brief on each market that they are working in, and they should again do the research and talk to prospects within this market. And if you ask me, just hire a local agency that will help you fit into this specific market, because they will know better than you, and just move ego aside.
Yeah. I like that, moving ego aside. That's good. Yeah. And besides hiring a local agency and doing all those manual things, what is something that AI can help with this process of audience targeting and segmentation?
So AI can do the research for you. It can tell you the differences between each market, and it can maybe tell you what type of audiences you're looking for. But I do believe that we're not going to go to, in the future, we're not going to have a granular data on each audience, if you can say that, and it's going to be like a black box. So the AI will do his thing and find you the relevant audiences, but we're not going to be exposed to this data to keep, again, user privacy.
Right, okay. Got it.
Yeah.
And so, you mentioned earlier that RTB House is already working without cookies, correct?
We did test it, and it did work, but currently we are using cookies.
Okay, got it.
So we didn't deploy those solutions yet,
Okay.
but they're ready to go
when
the cookieless world will come.
Right, yeah. And so it sounds like you guys are ready for that future,
Yes, we are.
What tips can you give to other marketers to prepare for that? What can they do to be as ready as you guys are?
To keep an open mind, to understand we always have a lot to learn, and learn by trying, because it's okay to fail as long as you learn from it. You didn't fail, you learned. Be data driven, and test everything, as I said before, and get clear results before you decide for the long term. Don't make assumption if the results aren't clear. And last thing I will say, I already said it, is just, again, move ego aside and learn. We have a lot to learn, I have a lot to learn, and again, it's a transaction that everybody will go through it together.
And what advice would you give to marketers, besides leveraging AI in this way, just going forward with the way that marketing is going, what should they do to stay ahead of the curve? What can marketers do to stay ahead of the competition, to stay on the wave of new technologies like AI?
I think it's everything that I just mentioned, actually.
Yeah.
Again, learn and adapt.
I understand.
We're at the beginning of this era.
Right,
and nobody really knows where it
Yeah.
will take us.
Yeah.
So everybody needs to do the learning and adapt given where things are going.
And besides using the technologies you already have to analyze data, to test results, what can someone, a marketer that isn't using AI like you do, to become better at using AI, to discover new developments, new innovations, and not fall behind technologies that others are using?
So read and learn is a great strategy. They can read a lot about where things are going on the web. They can again circle back to AI engines and ask them. And like all good companies have there are people that are dedicated to this purpose. Like we call them champions. So you can reach us, ask us whatever you want. You don't need to be a partner of us or working with us, and we will happy to schedule a session and share the information we have with you. And you can also do, of course, online courses, webinars, blogs, or forums, all of these.
Right. So, what impact is AI having on advertising today, and what impact can we expect in the coming years?
So today, our algorithm is already impacting our partners' advertising and make it better. Some examples for it are diverse in KPIs. We run lots of campaigns, and on goals like newsletter registrations, lowering bounce rate for a website or an app, increase sales of a specific product or a category, and much more of those. Another benefit is that segmentations happen automatically without us or the marketers interfering. And it happened based on the algorithm interaction with the online users. And we are reaching new customers and new users for our partners, and we see it on the data. So all of this basically leads to the fact that AI bring incremental results to advertising today. And it make advertising more performance-based, more data-driven, and I think it will only get better in the next years.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And you mentioned that obviously you have a lot of experience in marketing and PPC over the past few years, and you've seen how the impact AI and in general technology has had. What is the impact that programmatic advertising in general has had on advertising? How has it changed the space, and what potential is there?
So I would put it in front of direct buying. I think it makes things more data-driven, more agile, more things happen on real time, and we don't wait to do changes. Diversification is bigger because we can advertise more with less efforts. And again, marketers can get more insights on their activities because they have ways that, to get data that previously was unavailable for them.
I understand. And you've mentioned several times the importance of being agile.
Yeah.
How important is being agile, and why is being agile so important in marketing?
So today with globalization, technological advancement, and the way that things are moving, it's much faster and things change much more rapidly. COVID, for example, before COVID, everything was good. Results were amazing. And in one day, everything changed dramatically. Unfortunately, we have wars that change a lot of things, a financial crisis that happen more frequently. And this leads to things being less stable. And that's why it's more important to be agile, because once you see good results, you need, as I said earlier, to seize the moment and make the most out of it, because next day everything can change. And in the programmatic ecosystem, that's where you can actually seize the moment and make the best out of a specific day and make sure you are maximizing your results on given results in real time.
Right, got it.
Yeah.
Beforehand, you talked about, I believe the term was set and forget kind of campaign.
Lunch and forget. Lunch and forget.
Yeah, lunch and forget, right? Why is that? Is that a more risky approach? And why are other approaches better?
It's not a risky approach. It's just what we got used to. In, for example, direct buying, again, you buy like a package of advertising. That's what you have, you pay for it, and you pay for a month of advertising. So you just let the time pass, and then you get the data, you research it, and you make your insight from it. But you can't change anything on the go, and this is what changed. And it's not like it's good or first of all, I think it's much better to be agile and work based on results in real time, but it will take time for marketers to adapt to this kind of approach, bring in again people that can do this for them within their companies. It's also will make them be more first of all, I think transparent with their partners, more data sharing on real time, and again, budgets will need to be more agile. So you can't like close the budget for a next quarter in advance. And I don't know how to do it yet, but we should do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Talking about the budget, how can advertisers, what mistakes are advertisers making with budgeting today?
They pre-plan their budget. You need to pre-plan. Of course, I understand you have to pre-plan because you have a company to run. Advertising is just a part of the company. But you need to do it more on a, I would say, general budget planning, like plan for the whole year and don't make plans for each month. Understand your limits, but also understand where you can break those limits. Like if you're getting to a specific point in goals that you see that you get more than what you need to again seize it and add more budget to it. So maybe add like reserves of budgets to their planning. Again, I'm not a CFO, but I'm sure you can come up with something.
I understand. So you mentioned like the importance of seizing the opportunity and increasing the budget, When is the moment to see that it's not a good opportunity and lower your budget?
That's just the other side of the coin. If you see that the results in real time are not good, you can lower your budget. Let the bad times pass and then increase it again. And that's, by the way, a great question because, again, of course, not everything is great and results are always good. Sometimes you get bad results, but that's why it's such a good question. I didn't talk about it, but you can lower the budget also, and then maybe keep it for the next month if things will get better.
Right, but if we can elaborate, when is the moment for a company to understand that now's not the moment? Now's the moment to lower the budget and not panic and say, "Oh, our sales are going down. We have to raise our budget to get those numbers up again."
I can give you an answer on that. It's gotta be. I can give you an answer. It's gotta be given the specific brand operation.
I hear, It was a hard question on purpose. But so that's all my question, Raz. Thank you so much for coming. It was a real pleasure to talk to you.
Same.
And thank you for sharing all your valuable experience and information.
Thank you. Same here. It was a great time.
Great. So thank you for listening, everybody. That's the end of the podcast. If you have any questions that you'd like to ask us in the comments, please add them below. And if you want us to talk to anybody that you might know in the ad or technology space, please let us know. Maybe Bill Gates, maybe Mark Zuckerberg. Let us know in the comments, and we'll make it happen. Bye. Thank you.